Just yesterday, a man was lying right here on the pier concrete. I bent down and checked his pulse. His skin was turning blue. I dialed 911 immediately, frantically explaining the situation, and the operator literally told me, "Sir, that is not your emergency." Think about that. If someone took your security away and threw your entire life into chaos, would you just walk away and grab a cup of coffee? This lifestyle is a brutal, soul-crushing experience. I dare any of you watching this to try it. Throw your wallet into the ocean for just a week. Come down here to the sand. See how it actually feels. Eat the scraps that we are forced to eat. I am absolutely certain that after less than a month out here, your entire worldview will change forever. Welcome to Homeless U.S. News. Venice Beach, California, the ultimate postcard of American freedom. It is the birthplace of modern skate culture, a haven for eccentric street artists, a paradise of sun-kissed bodybuilders, and home to multi-million-dollar oceanfront properties. But behind this glossy veneer of bohemian luxury lies an undeniable humanitarian catastrophe. According to comprehensive local data, approximately 585 people are living completely unsheltered in the immediate Venice area. Shockingly, nearly half of them are sleeping entirely exposed to the elements, with no tent, no vehicle, and zero physical protection from the harsh coastal streets. Battered tarps line the concrete boardwalk. Battered shopping carts sit directly beside the sand. Human beings are sleeping under the shadows of towering palm trees, right on the doorsteps of luxury modern mansions, only footsteps away from one of the most famous tourist destinations on Earth. This is the unfiltered reality where paradise and extreme poverty share the exact same stretch of Earth. How did this counterculture sanctuary become a glaring symbol of America's housing failure? Today, we are pulling back the curtain on Venice Beach. We are bypassing the tourist traps to show you the heavy human price being paid in the shadows of gold. If you believe these human stories deserve a platform, smash that subscribe button right now and turn on all notifications. Let's walk the boardwalk together. Drop a comment below right now. How does it make you feel to know that someone is turning blue on a tourist pier while the world walks by? Let's dive deep into the truth. Part 1. The collision of dreams and concrete. When you look at Venice Beach through the lens of a camera, it looks like a dream. But when you look at it through the lens of the data, it looks like a systemic breakdown. According to the latest research, including the highly cited RAND Corporation studies, the unsheltered population in Venice sits at around 585 individuals. While city officials frequently highlight that this is a 22% decrease from previous spikes, the reality on the ground tells a much more distressing story. The truly haunting statistic is that 48% of these individuals possess absolutely no shelter whatsoever. They don't have an old RV to hide in. They don't even have a nylon tent. They are sleeping with nothing but a thin blanket between their bodies and the freezing, damp Pacific night air. At the break of dawn, the physical weight of this crisis becomes impossible to look past. The iconic Venice Boardwalk, which should be a vibrant runway for creativity, serves as a massive open-air emergency shelter. People are curled up against the seawall, huddled near lifeguard towers, or tucked behind public restrooms, desperately searching for any corner that offers a shred of safety from predators and the cold. These are not statistics dropped onto a page. These are people who once had normal lives. Many of the individuals you see sleeping on the sand were, not long ago, living in apartments just blocks away from the beach. In a hyper-expensive market like Los Angeles, the line between stability and destitution is razor thin. One sudden rent increase, an unexpected medical bill, a corporate layoff, or a simple run of terrible luck is all it takes to push a working-class person over the edge. Now, they spend their days in a state of chronic exhaustion, trying to maintain their hygiene in public sinks, guarding their few remaining possessions, and fighting to keep their dignity intact while thousands of tourists walk past them, intentionally avoiding eye contact. The ocean breeze might feel refreshing to a vacationer, but to someone sleeping on the concrete, that wind cuts like steel. Part 2. The Sidewalk Shanties, Survival in Plain View. As the sun begins to rise over the Pacific, the hidden architecture of Venice Beach reveals itself. Rows of weathered tents, blue tarps, and makeshift wooden structures line the concrete pathways where the urban landscape meets the sand. During peak periods, local counts have documented more than 200 illegal structures packed tightly along the bike paths and pedestrian walkways. These are not recreational campsites. They are desperate, fragile fortresses built by human hands trying to create some form of privacy in a world that offers none. Inside these tents, life is a constant, draining battle for survival. There is no electricity to charge a phone, no running water to wash away the salt grime, and no door with a deadbolt to keep out danger. Every sound from the outside world, a footstep, a loud voice, the roar of a police helicopter, reverberates through the thin fabric, keeping sleep shallow and broken. People live in a state of permanent fight or flight, knowing that at any moment, their temporary home could be targeted. The daily routine for the residents of these sidewalk shanties is dictated by the clock of the city. They must crawl out of their sleeping bags before the tourist crowds arrive, packing up their damp blankets, collapsing their tarps, and stuffing their entire lives into a shopping cart or a backpack. By noon, they must disappear so the boardwalk can be handed over to commerce and vacationers. By nightfall, the tents slowly reappear in a quiet, synchronized ritual of survival. This endless cycle of building and dismantling wears down the body and the spirit. It forces us to look at a fundamental question. What does it do to the human soul when the only place you have to lay your head can be packed up and thrown into the back of a sanitation truck in a matter of minutes? Part 3. The Turf War for Paradise, Public Space Tensions. Venice Beach was designed to be a grand experiment in public space, a place where the rich, the poor, the artist, and the eccentric could all share the same sand. But today, that beautiful vision has fractured into a bitter, silent turf war. The boardwalk has become a friction point where wealthy homeowners, struggling business operators, and unsheltered individuals are forced to fight over the same few feet of concrete. Walk down Rose Avenue or Oceanfront Walk on a weekend afternoon, and you can feel the tension in the air. Families pushing strollers navigate around shopping carts. Local store owners stand at their doorways, watching potential customers look at an encampment and decide to cross the street instead. Small, subtle moments reveal the deep societal divide. You see a mother pulling her child closer as they walk past a tent. You see a resident casting a frustrated glance at a sidewalk blocked by blankets. You see a business owner calculating the financial loss of another quiet month. For the unsheltered population, this tension is terrifying. They know they are viewed as an eyesore, a nuisance, or a danger to the neighborhood's property values. They feel the heavy weight of the stares. They hear the angry comments muttered under the breath of passers-by. And they carry the constant psychological pressure of being unwelcome everywhere they go. Most of these individuals are not trying to cause trouble or disrupt the peace. They are simply trying to exist in a world that has priced them out of private space. This is a quiet tragedy of Venice. A community built on the ideas of love and inclusion is now defined by invisible walls, security cameras, and a deep, growing distrust between those who have a roof and those who do not. Part 4. The Math of Displacement, the Land Cost Crisis. To truly understand why the sidewalks of Venice Beach are lined with tents, you have to look past the cultural myths and look directly at the real estate ledger. The primary driver of homelessness along this coast is not a lack of willpower. It is the absolute hypergentrification of the land. According to active rental data, a basic, modest one-bedroom apartment near the Venice Boardwalk now commands an average rent of $5,250 every single month. If you need a two-bedroom unit for a child, that number pushes past $5,350. The median price for a single-family home sits at a staggering $1.9 million, with many properties trading far above that mark. These astronomical figures have permanently altered the economic ecosystem of the community. Venice was once a haven for working-class families, artists, and bohemian dreamers who could survive on modest incomes. Today, that class of people has been systematically wiped out. The people who make Venice run, the baristas who pour the coffee, the mechanics who fix the bicycles, the artists who paint the iconic murals, can no longer afford to live within 50 miles of their jobs. When the economic balance tips for a working-class resident, the descent into homelessness happens in stages. First, they try to absorb a rent hike by cutting back on food and medicine. Then, they move into a shared room with multiple strangers. When that fails, they move into their vehicle, parking on quiet side streets like Hampton Drive, trying to avoid drawing the attention of parking enforcement. Eventually, the car gets towed due to unpaid fines, and they land directly on the concrete sidewalk. This is the cruel math of displacement in a neighborhood where shelter has become a speculative asset rather than a basic human right. Survival becomes a luxury that only the ultra-wealthy can afford. Part 5. The Sanitation Revolution, the Clearing Cycle. Multiple times every single month, a familiar and stressful scene plays out along Oceanfront Walk and the surrounding corridors. A caravan of white city trucks, sanitation workers in high-visibility vests, and armed police officers move slowly down the street. This is the encampment clearance ritual, a massive bureaucratic effort to clean the sidewalks by moving the poverty out of sight. The numbers behind these operations are immense. In recent years, the city of Los Angeles has carried out more than 41,000 encampment-related operations citywide, with Venice Beach being one of the most heavily targeted zones. Notices are posted on fences days in advance, telling people they must move their belongings or face arrest and the destruction of their property. For the residents of the streets, these sweeps represent a chaotic, terrifying reset of their lives. Imagine being woken up at 6 a.m. by a loudspeaker, knowing you're less than an hour to pack your entire world into a shopping cart. In the rush and panic, life-saving medications are lost, birth certificates and identification documents are thrown into garbage compactors, and irreplaceable family photographs are buried under piles of debris. Once the trucks drive away, the sidewalk is clean for a few hours. Tourists take photos of the open view, and residents express a brief sigh of relief. But the underlying human crisis has not changed. The people who were forced to move have simply scattered to nearby beach access points, side alleys, or adjacent neighborhoods. Within days, the tents slowly return to the boardwalk, and the cycle of packing, clearing, and rebuilding begins all over again. It is a multi-million-dollar game of human musical chairs that solves nothing, drains public resources, and inflicts constant trauma on a population that is already broken. Part 6. The Thin Line of Care, Outreach and Its Limits. In the middle of this relentless battleground, a small and dedicated group of outreach workers from organizations like the St. Joseph Center and Venice Community housing walk the concrete blocks every single day. They're the frontline soldiers of compassion, carrying heavy backpacks loaded with bottled water, clean socks, basic hygiene kits, and resource clipboards. They do not arrive with handcuffs or trash trucks. They arrive with patience and a consistent human presence. The data shows that when these teams are given proper funding, they achieve incredible results. In targeted programs, they have successfully transitioned hundreds of individuals from the sand into stable interim housing, achieving long-term housing retention rates between 92% and 95%. Venice Community Housing currently manages over 250 permanent supportive housing units across the region, proving that when you give a person a roof and matching social services, they can stabilize their life and reclaim their future. But the gap between their resources and the scale of the crisis is a vast canyon. An outreach worker might spend 6 months to a year just building enough trust with a traumatized individual to get them to agree to a shelter bed. The street teaches people to be deeply cynical. They have heard countless promises from politicians and systems that ultimately delivered nothing but disappointment. Furthermore, the waiting list for a permanent housing placement can stretch for months or even years. For the individual waiting on the sidewalk, every week a delay means another night of exposure to violence, disease, and the elements. Many become so discouraged by the bureaucratic maze that they walk away from the system entirely, choosing predictable hardships of the boardwalk over a housing process that feels like a cruel illusion. The helpers themselves carry an immense emotional burden, watching people they have come to know and care for slip backward into crisis due to a lack of available beds and long-term funding. Part 7. The Architecture of Rescue. Integrated Solutions. Real, permanent change in Venice Beach requires moving past temporary fixes and building the actual architecture of rescue. The most significant and debated effort to achieve this is the Venice Dell project, a plan designed to transform an underutilized, city-owned surface parking lot near the historic canals into 120 units of permanent supportive housing. This project represents a major shift in strategy. With tens of millions of dollars committed in state and county funding, the goal is to create a deeply integrated community asset. The building is designed to include not just apartments for the unsheltered and low-income artists, but ground floor retail space, community gardens, and on-site spaces for case managers, mental health counselors, and medical staff. It is an acknowledgement that you cannot simply place a traumatized person into an apartment and expect them to thrive without a safety net of professional care. We can already see the proof of this model in smaller, completed victories across the neighborhood. Projects like the Marion Place Apartments, a modest permanent supportive housing site developed by Venice Community Housing, opened its doors to residents after carefully restoring and expanding existing historic structures. For the individuals who moved inside, the transformation was immediate and profound. They went from the chaotic noise of the bike path to the quiet sanctuary of a room with a lock. They could store their medication safely, cook their own nutritious meals, and sleep through the night without the fear of being attacked or cleared away by a sanitation crew. These projects prove that homelessness is a curable condition when society chooses to build lasting solutions rather than simply managing the visible symptoms. But the execution of these projects is a slow battle against soaring construction costs, legal challenges from neighborhood groups, and political delays, all while hundreds of people remain outside, counting their lives one tide at a time. Part 8. The Void of Privacy. The Mental Toll of Life in the Open. To fully grasp the tragedy of Venice Beach, one must analyze the severe psychological damage inflicted by chronic public exposure. When half of a population sleeps completely exposed on the sand or pavement, they are deprived of the most basic human psychological need: sanctuary. A human being cannot remain mentally healthy when their entire existence is lived in full view of a critical public. Every hour spent on the boardwalk is an exercise in psychological defense. The human brain is wired to seek safety when it is vulnerable. On the street, that safety never comes. This lack of a private sphere causes an incredible accumulation of trauma. People develop deep, paralyzing anxieties and chronic sleep deprivation that fundamentally alters their brain chemistry. The constant noise of sirens, shouting, traffic, and the mechanical hum of the beach cleaning equipment forces the nervous system to remain in a permanent state of high alert. Over months and years, this constant stress burns out a person's coping mechanisms, often triggering or exacerbating severe mental health crises. This mental toll explains many of the behaviors that the public finds distressing or frightening. When you see someone yelling at the sky or pacing erratically near the beach access points, you are not looking at a person who simply chose to be unstable. You are looking at a human mind that is broken under the unbearable weight of having no quiet place to retreat, no bedroom door to close, and no sanctuary from the world. The coping strategies that people develop on the street, including using substances to numb the sensory overload or stay awake through dangerous nights, are often desperate attempts to survive a hostile environment. If we do not address this mental toll by creating immediate spaces of privacy and calm, no amount of cleanup operations will ever heal the deeper crisis of our streets. Part 9. The Fading Generations, Elders and Youth on the Sand. The demographic shift among the unsheltered population in Venice Beach reveals a dual tragedy: the abandonment of our oldest citizens and the derailment of our youngest. The boardwalk has become a place where the elderly and the very young are forced to compete for survival in an environment that shows mercy to neither. Senior citizens are among the fastest growing segments of the homeless population along the California coast. These are individuals in their late 60s, 70s, and even 80s, living on fixed Social Security incomes that have been completely outpaced by the cost of housing. You see them navigating the uneven pavement of the boardwalk with walkers or wheelchairs, their meager belongings hanging from the handlebars. They suffer from chronic health conditions like diabetes, heart disease, and severe arthritis, made infinitely worse by the cold dampness of the ocean air. There is a deep, profound shame in watching an elder who worked a lifetime in our economy searching for a place to rest their head on a concrete pier. On the other end of this tragic spectrum are the transition age youth, young adults between the ages of 18 and 24 who have aged out of the foster care system or fled abusive family homes. Venice has historically drawn young runaways and dreamers due to its reputation for counterculture freedom. But today, that freedom is a dangerous trap. Without a family safety net, financial literacy, or stable guidance, these young people quickly become targets for exploitation and violence. They sleep in groups near the skate park, try and protect one another, but the longer they stay on the sand, the deeper the quicksand of the street pulls them down. By failing to protect these two vulnerable generations, our society is quietly erasing its past and compromising its future. Part 10. Reclaiming the contrast, the postcard and the prayer. Venice Beach will always be a place of stunning visual beauty. The way the golden hour sun hits the palm trees, the sound of the Pacific crashing against the shore, and the vibrant energy of the crowds will continue to draw millions of visitors from every corner of the globe. But we can no longer allow that beauty to blind us to the human suffering that shares the same frame. The postcard image of California can no longer be used to obscure the desperate reality of our neighbors. The crisis in Venice is not an isolated incident or an unsolvable mystery. It is a direct, visible consequence of choices we have made as a society. Choices about housing infrastructure, healthcare access, and the value we place on human dignity. Every tent on the boardwalk and every person sleeping exposed on the sand is a living reminder of a social contract that has been broken. But because this crisis was created by human systems, it can be solved by human systems. The progress made by outreach teams and the development of supportive housing projects show us the clear path forward. It requires us to move past the paralysis of frustration and invest heavily in solutions that match the actual scale of the human need. Outro, The Mirror of Venice. As our journey through the hidden corners of Venice Beach comes to a close, we are left with a powerful mirror held up to our entire nation. This boardwalk asks us a fundamental question. What kind of communities are we willing to tolerate in a country that possesses unimaginable wealth? We cannot truly claim to be a successful society when our most iconic places of freedom are defined by the daily struggle of thousands just to stay alive. Thank you from the bottom of our hearts for staying with us through this full, extensive documentary. In a world where attention spans are measured in seconds, the fact that you chose to sit with this heavy, raw truth from the very first frame to the last sentence carries immense value. Your presence and attention are what keep these stories alive, bringing light to realities that many would prefer to keep hidden in the shadows. If this journey has touched your heart, challenged your perspectives, or made you feel the immense weight that our unsheltered neighbors carry every single day, please take a brief moment right now to hit that like button. It takes less than a second, but it signals to the algorithm that human-centered journalism matters, helping this video reach thousands of more minds who need to see the truth. If you want to continue standing with us against the silence and walking through the hidden, raw realities of cities across America, hit subscribe to Homeless U.S. News and turn on that notification bell. We want to build a community that refuses to look away from the hard truths. We want to hear your voice. What part of this story hit you the hardest? Do you see the same crisis unfolding in your own hometown? Let's start an honest, deeply respectful conversation in the comments section below. We read every single thought you share. Let's look out for one another, keep our empathy alive, and remember that we are all much closer to the edge than we think. Stay safe, stay compassionate, and we will see you in the next story on Homeless U.S. News.